Hey folks, I'm just loading up DSP now. We'll get everything switched over and get started momentarily. But not before expelling bots from the chat. This is a bot-free zone. Alright, let me switch over and we should have DSP loaded in a sec here. All right, let's take stock of stuff and get everything loaded. I did see your drop a beat redeem, Capri Sun. We will do that. I'll do that in a sec. Hey, what's up, Red Dragon? Welcome to the stream. Red Dragon says there's a website that lists almost every bot on Twitch. Yeah, I know that website. I have been pointing my mods to that whenever they're on. The person that or bot that I banned, I don't know if you saw it, Red Dragon, but I didn't even see them in chat. It was just someone who put the spam comment in there, which I just booted them out immediately because we don't play that here. Alright, I'm going to drop the BGM down a little bit, get this to the right level, and we'll load up everything. I don't know exactly what happened to my connection. I do know that when I took a look at my settings, it said I had enabled a metered connection, which is probably why I was getting that bandwidth thing last night. What I don't understand is I never enabled that. I've literally changed no settings since the last time I streamed, which was the launch party right before I left town. Didn't change any of my settings, but somehow the metered setting got turned on, and that's what was throttling my bandwidth, which I'm surprised it didn't come into play yesterday at all. But now I'm looking at my stream diagnostic thing, and it's green. It's not red anymore. And I'm not dropping any frames, so I think resetting all those settings fixed it. But yeah, Red Dragon, Capri Sun said it was stuttering like crazy at the beginning, so I restarted everything. I think I fixed it. But I don't even know how that happened to begin with. It's very strange. Alright, let's pause this. Everything should be coming in clear now. Let me know. I'll keep an eye on OBS, my other monitor here, but let me know if anything weird happens. I don't really get it, but I think the problem is solved for now. Knock on wood. So anyway, welcome to the stream, everybody. Glad to see you folks. Let us go ahead and kick things off with the drop a beat redeem from Capri Sun. So let me grab my headphones. It seems like it's been forever. Probably because I didn't have this one turned on during the launch party stream. I'd remember to turn all the redeems I normally have on back enabled. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's see if I can think up some on the fly. All right, let's turn everything back on and jump into some more factory automation shenanigans. Oh, I hit play. There it goes. Hopefully the BGM wasn't playing while I did that. I thought I paused it. I did see your mention of some good news, Capri-Sun, when I tried starting the stream earlier. But feel free to elaborate. We could definitely always use good news in today's constant chaos, right? Oh, disability check went up. That's good. Hopefully that means you'll be able to take advantage of that and deal with expenses and whatnot. $400 and back pay. Gotcha. That's good. All right. Boy, it's been probably almost a month since we were in DSP just because I was gone for a bit. I need to remember what we were doing. I know we have done a bit of overhauling of the base, and I think I did do some work offline. Not since the last time I streamed it, but I guess what we should do is check all the production sites, and then we'll take a look at the tech tree to figure out where we're going. We are interstellar, I know that. We've got ships running to the mining outpost to grab titanium and silicon, which is good. What we're going to need to do is keep pushing up the tech tree, and eventually, maybe not today, might get close. Eventually, we need to start getting ready for space combat and working on the deployment of the Dyson Swarm, which is going to be our first goal. Maybe we'll get to that today, but very soon we're going to need to deal with. Let's go. Star Wars with trademark. And I see we have a raid. Wazzy, Toxicure crew. What's up, folks? Thanks for the raid, Wazzy. Let me I'll give you a shout out. I hope I spell your name right. What were you folks doing today, crew? Balatro? What is Balatro? Make sure I was reading that correctly. Is that a game? So what's up, Lava King? Oh yeah, it is Thursday. It's judo day. How was your involuntary yoga session, Lava King? Hey, Matt's here. What's up, Matt? Roguelike poker? Are you encouraging your community to gamble, Wazzy? Interesting. I haven't heard of that one. How was the gambling? Aquatic Wealth says I'm addicted now. Oh boy. Is there some sort of sponsorship deals under the table? Wazzy, money on my mother, mine. Cop 5 haircuts at the same time. White gold pants, jet ski made of wine. Foie gras bust of Albert Einstein. Get money. Hey, Sour Lad, thanks for the resub, dude. 18 months. Wow. That is a long time. Much appreciated. Sour Lad says, Wazzy hurt my soul multiple times. We had fun. If you say so. Sounds like pain to me. But what do I know? Lava King says, I'm exhausted and learn you can bleed from your armpits and cough up bloody phlegm because one apparently has a minor cold. That sounds rough. And if that doesn't get better soon, you should probably seek medical attention, Lava King. but I am not a doctor. I am trying to figure out what's up with my red research production. Huh. Now I gotta figure out what's feeding all this stuff. Our hydrogen is not feeding. Why is that? So that says I have a solid 50 hours on the poker game, or 42-ish. That's almost a work week at a job. Just remember, you can never make it all back, whatever you lose. That's how they get you. Love King says, it is, I've had worse. And judo's the Japanese art of yeet, not yoga. I said involuntary yoga. Or the art of folding clothes while people are still in them. You've heard me say that one before, too. Well, hopefully if you feel better. It seems like you have a new ailment every week. I'm going to assume your con stat's the one that could use some more points. Okay, where's this feeding from? What we're doing today in Dyson Sphere program, folks, is we're resuming production on our main save file here, and it's been such a long time, so I'm trying to figure out what exactly we're doing. I guess this needs to be reconnected. So the real question is, why did I disconnect to begin with? But it's been a few weeks since we last streamed this, so I kind of forgot what I was doing. Oh, you're coming from over here. And if you've never seen Dyson Sphere program, for folks who are part of the Toxicure raid, this is a factory automation sim type game where we are trying to build a sprawling factory, and I guess this is the best way to show it.
In the planet view,
dropped on a planet in this mech that we control. We have to harvest resources and build up our tech to increase the complexity of our factory. And when we first started, we had stuff being funneled everywhere with belts and things being assembled. And now, thanks to some of the tech we've researched, we have things being transported with these drones all over the planet now. And even beyond, if we look at the star map, we have ships, interplanetary vessels, or interstellar vessels, that are flying stuff from our other resource points to our main base. Lava King says, don't forget to make sure to dismantle workers' revolutions. Well, this is all AI, so there's no unions to worry about. We do have to deal with hostile enemy robots that like to disrupt our production, which is going to be coming into play soon, something I was mentioning earlier. The planetary or space combat stuff is coming up soon once we get weaponry ready. Lava King says AI is even more reason to make sure workers don't revolt. Well, there are no workers, really. They're just machines. They're machines I control. But technically the enemy is like a rogue alien AI. And they're trouble. They're going to start causing problems for us relatively soon. That is true. Robots revolting is the plot of Transformers. We, in a sense, maybe not at this point in the game, but soon, we are going to be the planet-conquering / enslaving force that's out there in the galaxy. That's sort of the end goal for what we want to do here. But right now, our sphere of influence is just the planetary system we're in. We have not branched out into other systems. To give you folks an idea, I've shown this before, but just to show people who, again, who might not have seen it, our immediate area is our planetary system here. We have this planet, the dark fog, which is the enemy, They're currently occupying this volcanic planet, hot zone. But if we zoom out to look at the big map, all of these different colored dots are planetary systems, not planets. Systems. So we can eventually journey to all of these other places and set up bases and do things like shuttle resources to and from all these other places to kind of create this big intersystem empire. And that's where it gets really fun. But we've got to first break out of our starting system before we can start moving elsewhere and taking advantage of things, because there's resources and different items we want to harvest or collect in these other systems we don't have in our home. But we can't do that until we've got the tech. Oh, thanks for giving me... Was that you, Sour Lad? That other shout out to Wazzy. Thanks for doing that. Alright. So let's see. The two structures we need readily for the Dyson Swarm, which is a component of power grid management. We need these things, the EM rail ejectors, and then ray receivers are what harness the power being drawn from the star. The goal right now is to be able to deploy these solar sails around our home star, which is this thing right here. And the sails kind of orbit. We'll see it once we get the thing set up. But the sails orbit around the star and basically work like flying solar panels. And they harness the power of the star. And then the ray receivers, these things that look like a satellite dish almost, they collect the energy and use it to power your grid. Because right now we are pretty much at capacity. That's going to be a problem soon too. I think it's because of these. Basically, our terrestrial planetary energy sources are not meeting our demands as we continue to expand everything out. Hence the need to go and harness the power of the star in order to get additional energy to keep building out our base and upgrading our tech. And I probably should have looked at my footage from the last stream to figure out what I was specifically doing. But there is an item we're going to need that I don't think I started producing yet. Let's fly around a little bit. Lava King says, I miss G.I. Joe cartoons and good Transformers cartoons. I remember the ones from the 80s. I know some of you probably didn't exist in the 80s. But some of those old properties like G.I. Joe and Transformers, like the old first generations, second generations of those product lines, I want to say, were really big back then. And they get rebooted or reimagined, as you can guess, every several years, every 5 years or so, they'll come out with a new version. Okay, I don't see production lines up here. Let me touch down. What we want are these things. These are the solar sails. We need a steady supply of these to be able to put into the railgun looking things and shoot them into space. And for these we need graphene and photon combiners. Lava King says, Real American Hero and G1 was good, but I grew up on Beast Wars and the anime trilogy. Then once the Bay films happened, all they cared about was G1 pandering. Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because I watched the fourth I don't know anything about the Michael Bay Transformers other than I've seen like the first two. But I watched the Beast Wars live action one that came out like a couple years ago when I was flying back from Japan, and it was just like an action movie. I didn't find it offensive. Didn't really blow my socks off either. It was, whatever. But I always felt like the live action Transformers movies focus too much on people, which is not really that interesting to me. If it was just totally focused on the Transformers themselves, I think that would be a better narrative, but they don't really do that. Rise of the Beast, yeah, that one. It was fine. I had no problems with it. Like, story was very simple. Like, none of the characters were obnoxious. They didn't have like, which is the second one where they gave like Devastator balls. That was kind of a weird narrative choice. Okay. Here's our colliders. I think we set up production for this. I just don't know where they're coming from. It's feeding the bus line here, so that's where it's going. But let me go see where all those are being produced, because we're gonna need to siphon off some of those along with graphene. And apologies while I jump back and forth while I remember what I'm doing. Gas giant, here we go. This one has fire ice. Okay, so graphene should be in good supply. With the ability to send vessels into space, we have a pretty easy avenue to harvest graphene, which before required a whole bunch of expensive items. Now we just use this thing called fire ice. I think this is the whole setup down here. But it stopped. Oh, it must be up here. Yeah, we hit the cap on everything, so part of the production line stopped because there's just too much overflow. Alright. We can add more here. And this is basically our supply of graphene. Oh, hydrate and stretch from Sour Lad. I'm drinking my smoothie. Lava King says, Revenge of the Fallen is the low point of the Bay films. That's what, the third one? Or fourth one? Or that one I don't think I saw. I recognize the name. Alright, let's see if we can isolate production for the combiners. And then as long as that looks like it can sustain production, then we'll go ahead and set up factories or assemblers for the sales. Oh, let's see, is it down here? Maybe it's down here. Yeah. Yep. Okay, so maybe we can add overflow here as well so the stuff doesn't run out. Feels like such a long time since I played DSP. I'm gonna remember all my shortcuts too. Alright. So I think we've got the components to produce the sales. We'll do it. I guess we'll do it from the bus line up here. Or this one feeding the bus line, rather. We'll just go straight to the right. So let's have this one request graphene. The way these logistics towers work, again, for folks who might not have seen DSP before, you tell these tree-looking towers whether you want to supply something or demand it from the logistics network. In this case, we're demanding graphene. So all of our drones are assembly line or traffic freeway style going to the source down here where they're being collected, and they're funneling it way back up here so we can use it. And with that, we can run a couple lines out this way, and we're going to assemble solar sails from those two components. Brisson says, I don't like how Megan Fox is treated by Bay. You mean hired to be like the eye candy with not a lot of role in the story? Definitely seemed like Bay's MO. You know, big explosions, pretty lady to look at. Not a lot of focus on story. Alright, where's our assemblers? Down here. From a visual effects perspective and kind of like a CGI perspective, I think those Transformers movies visually look pretty cool. But they don't necessarily have the most compelling story and characters a lot of the time. Again, the Beast ones was fine. If you're on a plane for 8 hours and need something to watch, it was perfectly fine. Love King says, I'm not talking about the Devastator Ball Joker skids and Mudflap. No, hate Revenge of the Fallen, which is the second one. It did Jetfire dirty. I don't remember the original character that Jetfire was supposed to be based off of. That was the old, like, big, like, warplane looking guy, right? I don't remember from the old generations if that was supposed to be a reimagining of an existing character or just one that was similar. I remember in, I think, Generation 2, I want to say, there was a character called Skyfire, which was like a kind of futuristic, like Macross-looking jet. But I don't think that's the character they were referencing. It's been a long time. Oh, I see. So, if that's true, then they adapted Skyfire and they made him from like a cool futuristic jet into like a geriatric, like World War II era warplane, and the whole gimmick was that he's falling apart. Whoops, that's the wrong way. Huh. I wonder if they're continuing to make more of those. Oh, was there a legal dispute with that character specifically? That would make sense, because I had the figure or the toy for Skyfire, and I remember always thinking, yeah, this thing looks like it's from, well, back then they called it Robotech, before it was, you know, licensed properly or localized properly as the Macross series. The Robotech property that came out in the 80s was the ones all mishmashed together from, like, Macross plus the original. It was all kind of like Power Rangers style Frankenstein together. Oh, okay. The character, not the character so much as the toy. Alright, let's have this stuff. Store sales. What we're going to do with this production is we want a lot of these sales because we're going to need quite a few. We're going to have this thing store them, and we're going to shuttle them using our logistics drones up to the site where we're going to be constructing the basically like a power array for the Dyson Swarm, which is going to be interesting because I've learned a few things since the first couple playthroughs of the game on how to kind of optimize that setup. Hopefully it'll work out well. Why? Let's see. I am getting a red bitrate error again. same as yesterday, but I'm not showing drop frames in OBS. So let me know if the stream starts stuttering. I'm gonna go double check my network settings real quick. Now that I know that metered thing is a setting, let me see if I can actually look at that. Give me 1 sec to take a look at this. And again, folks watching, let me know if the stream starts wigging out. It didn't do anything yesterday, even though it was giving me this weird bitrate error. Nope. Settings don't say metered. I wonder if they're doing work. My ISP in the area. I've noticed my internet connection has been intermittently slow, and I've restarted all of my hardware, router, modem, etc., and it's still been kind of strange. I have a decent connection. I pay for a decent connection because I know I need it to stream. But for some reason, since I've been back, it's been weird. And I don't have anything running that would be affecting my speed. I don't have any downloads or anything running. Make sure it's Steam. Nope, Steam's not pulling anything down either. Weird. I'll keep an eye on it. Lava King says, if Optimus Prime was the Autobot father figure, Jetfire was like the cool uncle. And then they, in the live action movies, they made him into like the senile grandpa. I'm assuming that's kind of your beef with the interpretation, Lava King. Yeah. Kind of a hacky joke to make fun of old people. I mean, it seems a little too easy. But it's not like we're getting award-winning, Oscar-winning writing from a Michael Bay Transformers movie, right? Okay, I'm going to split the output lines here to make sure everything is being fed over. And I think we have a sustained production. I guess the thing to watch will be if one of these two things eventually starts dipping and lagging behind the demand, the supply and demand, rather. But for now, it looks okay. So now we need to go and establish a spot to start setting up the actual array for the Dyson Swarm, which everything we've been working on for like the last 3 streams has been leading up to getting this stuff up and running. And it'll be interesting to see if we immediately draw aggro from the dark fog once we go spaceborne for our power generation, because that's what this aggro meter here for the dark fog is directly driven by your power output and consumption, or maybe just output. Once we start drawing power from the star, they're going to notice and they're probably going to start attacking us directly. And I think our best bet is probably to go to the opposite pole. Look at the map. We're pretty densely concentrated around, I can never remember if this is north or south, but the red pole. If we go down here, there's really nothing. Our solar panel belt is down here, and there's actually not a lot. There's a big, wide open space in the majority of this part. I guess is the lower half. So let's go here and set up
In cruise mode, you can fly the mecha to different planets.
Yep. This should be where we need to go. Love King says, one good thing I can say about the 5-Bay films is Dinobots and Hound were awesome. Because if you want me to type in the screen and say Optimus riding a giant dinosaur with a knight sword in battle isn't awesome, you better surrender your inner child card. Was that the last one that came out? Oh, Hound was the one played by John Goodman. I see. Yeah, and I've only seen like 2. Well, now I've seen 3 of them. I've seen the first one, second one, and the Beast one was 4 or 5, I'm going to assume. The live-action Transformers movies, for lack of better terms, are not something I'd really invest time in outside of like a flight. But I needed something to occupy a couple hours. So it did its job. Okay, we need to run power up to that logistics tower. So we'll just connect it to the solar panel grid. We'll try and be orderly here. Whoops. That was too far. Oh well. Oh, Rise of the Beast isn't part of the Bay film series, and the Solo Bumblebee one wasn't. I did not know that. I'm gonna guess you've seen them all since you can speak on it, Lava King. So I'll trust your word on that. Oh, the red bit rate warning went away. That's good. Okay, so we should be within range. I guess we'll find out. To have, yep, our drones start flying up here, and we'll start with we'll cap it at 2K. What they're gonna do is go and grab the solar sails from that other site. And they're going to start flying it over here. Hey, Mr. Dirtbones is here. What's up, Mr. Dirtbones? How you doing today? Wonder if I have enough to do this one. I do. Oh, but it has the wireless ones. I have to manually delete those, I guess. Okay. I'm gonna use a blueprint for the array, and hope I have enough. But I need to clear out some more of the water. Since the radius is going to overlap a little, and it won't let me drop that down if water's on the map. The blueprint feature is handy in that rather than click and place everything normally, I'd be able to drop it down here, but I think these power poles are in the way. So I need to delete these out. Then I'll replace them to connect them to the power once everything else is down. There we go.
An EM.
What our local construction bots are doing. Get rid of you. to do this differently. They're taking all the stuff out of our inventory and they're putting everything down in the pattern here, which means I don't have to do it manually. Lava King asks, hey Raku, you're a music guy. Tight? Right? Are you asking if I'm a music guy? I very much am, Lava King. I could talk about music all day long. It's part of the reason why I chose to make music a part of my content as a VTuber. You have a music question? As long as it's not about country music, then I am all ears. Oh, I should probably link the Discord. I usually forget to do that whenever we get raided because I always just forget that I can do that. For folks who may not be part of the Space Bees community Discord, if you feel like hanging out with a bunch of cool folks, a lot of which are in the Toxicure community, feel free to join the Discord. I tend to post a lot of information about stuff I'm working on and whatnot, but feel free to stop on by if you feel so inclined. I definitely want to do more community night things with the Discord as well. We've done one movie night. It's back on Halloween. I'd like to do some more of that. And that would be through the Discord. Lava King says, okay, I have a mecha anime that uses music as characterization device. I think you would like depending on how you feel about jazz and classical music. I dig jazz and classical music. That sounds pretty interesting. Why don't you link the series in Media Share? And I can take a look. Alright, am I going to be able to fit these through here? I think the reason for this pattern was because I had wireless power transmission, which would be nice. But I don't see it. I don't see an opening. Can you go this way? Can you go this way? Let's see if we can just squeak past here. Let's see. Get rid of you. Yeah, that'll do. So what this is, just to kind of explain the setup. Lava King says I'll send you a link so you can watch it. Sure, yeah. Yeah, point me to it and I'll take a look. And Sarlad's taken off. Thanks again for coming and hanging out, Sarlad, and thanks for the resub. Again, very kind of you. So to explain how these things work, and I'm realizing now the power situation might require me to reconfigure this a little. Just going to be annoying. These railgun looking things are the EM rail ejectors. These are what's going to fire the solar sails into orbit around the star. But they need to be connected to the power grid first and foremost. Second, they need to actually be supplied with the sails, which we're going to use this one. We'll run a belt this way. We're going to use this as the supply. And I think I just need to reverse the path of this one. So that the sails are going to come out of here and they're going to feed assembly line style all the way around, and these things will load up as they go. But we need power. I wonder if I can use the ray receivers. It's been such a long time since I've had to do this. No, I think they're too clustered. Too closely clustered. Alright. Let's do it, I guess, ring by ring. too high. There we go. I might have to delete something in the second row. Actually, no. I think we can power these from the outside. Should be alright. But we need everything on the inner ring powered too. And I'm realizing now that another potential problem is the sorters are going to need power as well. I don't want to delete this whole setup. That would really suck. Let's see. I could delete every other and then stagger everything in between. Maybe I'll do that for now. And I can always build out the ring further for more of these. We need a lot of these EM rail ejectors. But for now, we just need it up and running. Let's see if that helps. Put you here. There we go. Not going to be the cleanest, but we're going to most likely overhaul this later, which is fine. We just want every building here powered, and we can make it pretty later. And over here, let's move this down. Okay, I will check out the link you put in Media Share later, Lava King. Thanks for doing that. Alright, let's move this down here. There. Same thing here. We won't have the wireless power station things for a bit. So for now, we'll just kind of make do. There we go. Okay, now everything is covered. Lava King says, the anime gave me one of my signature catchphrases, that being jazz was made for outer space. Yeah, I think that's pretty valid. Given the aesthetics for like the space opera type things like Cowboy Bebop. I definitely think stylistically for like space setting works. Jazz fits pretty well. Alright, if we set this to deploy down here, then they'll start feeding into the railguns, and now we need to configure these to actually do their job. So the way this works, and I'm going to have to probably play with this a little because I don't remember the ideal strategy. We're basically telling these railguns what orbit to deploy all of the sails. And we'll probably split it between two for now. So this one... well, let us edit it? No, we'll just do a new one. Oh, there it goes. So when we add an orbit, what this is if you know geometry, it's basically setting the orbit around the star, and we can go for kind of like a close orbit so it's not super spread out. But the orbit path, I think it's this one. We'll find out once these things actually turn on and start going. But we're telling it, okay, create the orbiting pattern around the star and deploy them in that pattern. And we can do things like add another one that's a little bit larger radius. So that's one. We can add a third one that's a lot closer and tighter around the star itself. And you can have up to 20 of them. You can have a big cluster of orbiting rings around if you really wanted to. I don't think we'll really need to do that for now. I'll do a fourth one that's flatter. And I'll leave these two for now. We'll see if it works. In fact, I'll just redo it. Change the angle. So we use 2 and 3. There's one that's a little bit wider at an angle, and this one which is almost perpendicular. Elf King says, Cowboy Bebop a space opera? Okay, now that's funny. I've heard it referred to as like a space opera. Maybe more like a space noir, like mystery action series. I think space opera tends to be more mecha series, right? Mecha drama type series. Alright. We're going to have all of the railguns in the inner ring follow the same orbit path. And I'll explain what they're doing in a sec here. So we can see them firing their projectiles as they enter into alignment to be able to hit the orbit that we program in. They'll start firing the sails into space. What we're going to do out here is we're going to give this one number 3 and copy the settings. Space opera is grand, wide-reaching, numerous groups and factions. So, like a Gundam series. Or, I'm assuming anything that has to do with intergalactic war or whatnot. Okay. So now we have all these things firing, which is good. If we take a look at the star map, what they're doing, if we zoom in on the star itself, our cannons are firing the solar sails into these orbiting rings around the star, and as they fill more, you'll see the ring fill in. It takes a little bit, they start accumulating. But very slowly but surely, they are filling space with these solar sails. And now, in order to actually harness these, we need to set up some ray receivers to grab the energy, because this is all well and good, but it's not doing anything for our power grid right now. And I think I'm gonna do something a little bit different. In the past, I've sort of clustered the ray receivers around the rails, but because I want to potentially expand more, I'm going to put them down here, and we'll see if it changes the effectiveness at all. It shouldn't. Well, let's go ahead and save. Don't want to lose progress. Huh. Getting a bitrate error again. It seems to come and go. Very strange. Have you folks been noticing any stuttering or dropping in the broadcast quality? Because OBS is not telling me anything is being dropped. So as long as it's not stuttering or hiccuping, then I guess we're okay. I need to get a new router. I think the one I have is getting old. Okay, Presun says fine.
The number of your...
Got it. Keep an eye on it. We will keep an eye on it. Okay.
You've built a ray
Receiver. So again, the satellite dish looking thing is actively pulling in energy from the swarm as it continues to orbit. And now if we go back to the star, you can see the rings kind of filling in here. They're a lot more brightly pronounced as they get full of these sails. And so we want to capitalize on that. And so I'm going to put down a whole boatload of these. And we should see our energy production jump, which is the whole reason why we're doing this. I'm getting to watch out for my soil piles, burning quite a few. Lava King says, Bebop can be more considered a space jazz night at a club. Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. It's like a little bit of mystery, action, martial arts, noir. I'm going to assume kind of a similar thing for Outlaw Star, which is one of my favorite space-based series from back in the day. I guess probably not grand enough in scale to be considered a space opera, yeah. But space action. It's not so much noir in Outlaw Star. It's almost more like adventure, slice of life. But that's one of my favorite series. I should go back and watch that again sometime. I didn't like back in the day when anime was starting to come over here, because I saw Outlaw Star and Toonami first because I'm very old. But people compared it to Cowboy Bebop a lot, which always annoyed me because they're not designed to be the same type of series. They both take place in space and they have action components, but the overall vibe of the series is very different. They're both good in different ways, but people always like to compare them, say, oh no, one's better than the other, and it's like, it's really apples and oranges to me. Yeah. I think you're kind of right on there, Lava King. Because of that comparison, I think Outlaw Star was kind of overshadowed. But it's a really fun series. Whoops. Oh, let's not ski off of our grid lines here. Okay, I don't know if you folks can see, but now the aggro meter for the dark fog is actively ticking up. It's not going up by much yet, but it is steadily rising now. I saw it jump up from 0.3 to 0.4, and as we continue to build out the power grid and even completing the ring, which we've got a little more ways to go, it's going to start going up faster. And so we're going to need to start getting planetary defense ready and space combat, which we might actually hit today. I thought it'd take longer to get this part up and running, but we're going to need to get ready for battle again, because when they start deploying stuff to the planet, we're going to need to be ready, or our defenses are going to get absolutely shredded. So we'll keep putting stuff down through here. Lava King says the dub actress for Aisha, Aisha Clan was Rouge in the 80s X-Men and Canadian politician in Newfoundland. I did not know that. X-Men was in the X-Men cartoon was in the 90s, not the 80s. But the voice does track. Are we out? Might be out. Red Dragon says 97. Was it 97? That seems late. Oh, maybe that's right. I would have guessed mid 90s for the airing of the X-Men cartoon, but it's been so long, so I couldn't tell you without looking it up. Boy, that was a long time ago, wasn't it? Okay, we need to grab more of the ray receivers. But if we take a quick aside to look at our power grid output now, thanks to the Dyson Swarm, our overall capacity has jumped up considerably. We're no longer at capacity. It could be because the charging stopped too. Let me go look at that. Yeah, the charging stopped, which is also helpful. But our overall energy output was 3 something when we started the playthrough today. But now it's going to jump up probably. If we can get close to 500, then that should hold us for a bit. If we take a look at space, you can see the rings and orbits of the sails. One thing that I'm still trying to fully understand, when you have the EM rail rejectors deploying their sails, they will do that when they're in line with the orbit as the planets revolve, and when they're out of alignment, they stop. So you have to kind of set it up so that based on your orbit pattern, they're always firing. Otherwise, they'll fire and then they'll stop, and then the whole orbiting grid will just die and you'll lose the energy from it. Oh, Red Dragon says, I was wrong. The first episode was 31 October 92. In cartoon, reran it and they reran it in 97. Okay, that sounds more accurate. I was going to say early to mid 90s at the latest for the original X-Men cartoon. I haven't seen it but recently. But I've heard it aged pretty well. I think the general consensus is that the X-Men cartoon aged a little bit better than the Spider-Man one. I think it had a bit more budget behind it. Alright, let's see. So a bunch of these are no longer grabbing energy. I wonder if we hit capacity. It's very possible. So maybe I'll put down... How much more do I got? Maybe I'll just leave it for now. There is a total capacity that these things can grab. So I think we've exceeded it with the amount that are out now. But if we keep deploying more of the sails and building out the level of the swarm, then we can draw more. Which I believe is how it works. I don't think it's tied to orbit. It's not like solar panels where they have to be lit up. Yeah. These ones here are in the dark. It's at capacity, I think. What I may do at some point is build this out another another layer and add more of the rail guns. But for now, I think we're okay. The way it works is the sails themselves out there have a lifespan, and then they essentially stop working, and you can upgrade that in tech so that they last longer and the energy doesn't dissipate as fast, which I don't think we have. Look, solar sail life. Oh, I guess we could upgrade that longer here. And then ray efficiency. This decreases the decay rate essentially of the sails as they transmit power back. So we can grab both these two for now. Okay. And I think our output of sails is fine. Well, maybe we'll add the ring now since I'm here. And we'll see if we can pick an orbit that's going to be in play while these other ones are idle. Usually that seems like the strategy is to have the different rails alternating so that when some are offline due to the orbit trajectory, others are online and firing. So we'll see if we can do that too. So let's see, we'll go... We need to go farther out. Yeah. How about here? Yeah, that works. We just need to make some room. Filling in all the oceans. Lava King says, I grew up with X-Men Evolution, MTV, Raimi Spider-Man cartoon, Wolverine and the X-Men, Spectacular Spider-Man. Those would have been 2000s? Is it 2000s or is it late 90s? I remember X-Men Evolution, but I never really watched it. Red Dragon says, my first anime was Vision of Escaflowne. Ah, that's a good one. Very interesting take on the mecha, quote-unquote mecha genre. It's like fantasy mecha. And the designs are really neat in Escaflowne. I think the mecha suit things that they pilot, they're called like Gaimelefs or something like that. They have a kind of a weird name. But pretty interesting world and setting. What about the movie? People are pretty divided on the movie because it pretty much ignored all the characters and it kind of did its own thing. But if you watch the series and then watch the movie, a lot of people had issues with how they kind of portrayed the characters. The effects and the visuals and art of the movie is really good, but they like changed the way the characters behave. It's really weird. Ah, you never seen it? It's worth checking out. It's just different. It's much darker. And the kind of character personalities are different in the movie. Which is something that, I don't know if you folks have ever seen the, was it late 90s space mecha anime Nadesco, Martian successor Nadesco. That one is kind of more of a straightforward space anime with like robots and stuff. It's a little more light, I would say, in tone. But they did a movie for that one too, and they did the exact same thing, where they changed all the characters. Like, they made the main protagonist guy who's kind of a happy-go-lucky dude and this, like, brooding edgelord. It was very strange. Again, the visuals were really cool, but it was such a departure that if you watch the series, you're like, man, the characters are just totally different. And I think that turned a lot of people off. But Nadesco's great. That's another one I recommend seeing if you want to check out some classic, old school, in quotes, anime. Alright, we need to set up sorters for here, and then we need to run power in order for these things to be online. At some point, I must have staggered my line a bit. It's not pretty, but it's fine for now. Keep going all the way around the ring, and then we'll run power and then set the orbit. I might have to experiment with one that's going to be active. But we'll handle that in a sec. I guess I can go every other. Or in between. As you get further in the game and you get some slightly more useful tech, rather than do this by hand, kind of like I was showing off with the blueprint, when you set up on a planet and you want to put together like a solar array, you just have the pattern laid out and you just drop the whole thing down and your bots will just construct it. And that's handy. Oh, I'm out of poles. We need to go to the bus and grab more. Let's see what our power output looks like too. I don't think it's probably jumped a ton. Yeah, right under 400. We need to get more sales out. How's our science looking? Or research, rather. Research cubes. Okay, full up on blue, yellow, red's getting there. We're going to have to pivot towards purple soon. Kind of competing priorities because of the rising threat and aggro level. That's going to be, I think, first priority. Or at least getting defenses. Since we need to get purple research capabilities before we can get the weaponry, like the space drones, which are really cool. And I think once I turn on this next layer of the ring here, it's going to probably start kicking up the aggro rate even higher. When it starts going up by 1%, then it's game time. We have to be ready. But right now, it's still going up by about a tenth every minute. Okay. So that's the entire ring powered. Now let's see if we can configure the orbit so that we can have these active while the other ones are not. Whoop. I wonder if the radius is part of it. If we go super huge radius, it's going to be a big ring around. And we'll... Whoop. See if we can set the angle to be different than the others, since we can guess that's why they're not actively firing. Let's see. We'd know if we turn it on. Okay, target is negative 27. We're at 320. So we need something that's going to be... $28, 20, 312. Yeah, the pitch limit thing means we're not in range. The angle, I don't know why I'm gesturing with my hands. The angle of our orbit is not in line with the orbit of the sail pattern we put. So this isn't gonna work. So let's try another one. Well, we could try to go super small, see if that works better. Yeah, that... Still, it's off. Okay. I will delete this one. I'll delete this one too. I need to find a guide that explains specifically how you optimize your angle instead of kind of trial and erroring it. But for now it'll work okay. Just need to find one that fits. Maybe we go flat. Let's see if that works better. Nope. Let's maybe to flip around and go almost vertical. It could also just be, if you look at the star map, we're over here on this pole of the planet, and because we're rotating on the axis away, there might not be an optimal setup, unless I just need to keep playing with angles. That's going to allow us to constantly have a clear shot. Let's see, orbit inclination 1434, 135.16 in longitude. Huh, I wonder if we match that. 14, 135. I wonder if that's how you're supposed to do it. Does it tell me the radius? It does. Well, that's the planetary radius. Huh. I never paid attention to those numbers before. We'll do a couple of these and we'll see if we can hit that magic number. Because right now, just to kind of illustrate why I'm fiddling with this at the moment, right now we're in a dead angle. None of the rails have a shot. So right now they're not deploying any of the sails, and that's a problem. That's what I'm trying to fix here. Yeah, none of these are within range. Could also be because we're about to go behind a planet, which I didn't even think about that. We're technically passing behind the gas giant, which I don't know if that can obscure your firing path. I don't know if the game is programmed to do that, but I guess that would make sense. Yeah, all of these orbit angles are dead spots. Okay, let's see if we can fiddle with it a little bit more until we can get something that's gonna fire when we're this out of alignment. Oh, it says path blocked. We might not be able to do anything when we're passing behind. I don't think I ever saw that happen in my other playthroughs. I'm sure it did, but I never paid attention to that particular error. I'd usually see pitch limit. But path blocked, that means until we come all the way around the other side, or I guess we're going this way, we can't deploy more of the sails, which doesn't take too long. I think it's like 5 minutes. Oh, but I didn't even think about that. So it would make sense if the ideal planet to deploy this EM rail ejector system would be something that's unobscured, something like Hot Zone, which is always revolving around and pretty much would have constant firing range to deploy, versus the one we have now passes behind the gas giant. But even still, we've already sort of past the obscuring point. So now it's visible, but we don't have an angle yet. So let's see. I understand this is probably not the most fascinating part of the gameplay, but we do need to have this figured out. Otherwise, we're going to basically lose function with our system here. Okay, that works. Let's do that for now. We can always tweak it later. Whoop. We're going to have all these start firing. There we go. So now we've got the outer ring firing. This is going to be the biggest orbit path, looks like. Oh yeah, that's a massive ring that's going to be way out here. That's okay. It's more aesthetic than anything else. But those will go, and then eventually when we pass back into the path for these inner ones, they'll start firing and they'll resume shooting the sails into these inner ones. So how's our energy output looking? Looks like we're still kind of topped out around 390 something. Once more of these are there, I'm kind of interested to see if more of the receivers kick on and start pulling down more energy. Right now we can't upgrade those any further. If we go back to the tech tree, what we need to start doing now is moving towards information matrices. These are the purple research. And for these we need processors. Oh god, processors. And we need fiber cables. So the processors we don't have. Actually, I don't know. Do we have those on the bus? Let's go take a look. I think we can let this thing kind of run on its own for now, and we'll keep an eye on the power situation. But for now, it's a pretty big milestone getting the Dyson Swarm up and running. But let's pop over and see what we've got on the bus. I think I did processors. Yeah. We are going to need more of those. That is a hot commodity that is a choke point for a bunch of things in production as we move up the tech tree. But before we do that, I'm going to go fry some chicken real quick. So what I'll do is I'm going to let everything rock here for a minute, and I will be back in one quick sec. All right. Chicken has been successfully fried. Okay, let's go figure out how much production we've got on processors. See, we've got some up here. These are only Mark 1s? Let me fix that first off. But let's see. Is this the only spot that is producing processors? Where's our output running? Okay, You're going all the way down here and filling this line on the bus. Looks like it's only being produced up here. We're going to need to remedy that. Yeah, I can see right now that the crystalline components are one piece of the processors, and then it's the circuit boards is the other part. And these require silicon and copper, so they're not super expensive to make. And now that we're bringing in copper from, not copper, bringing silicon in from our other planetary mining outpost, I think what I'll do is set up some production for processors in all that empty space to the south. I want to say south. Oh, we need to get more foundation to fill in the water. And I'm going to need to go get more soil piles too. Which, that's going to be tricky since we've kind of tapped out all of the area we can clear and landscape here on this planet. I might need to go to hot zone, which would be interesting and dangerous because that's an enemy controlled planet. Maybe we'll do that. We'll do a sidebar and risk some combat to go and get more soil piles because we're going to need to fill in a lot. First, let me go and dump out some of this stuff like the stray items that are sitting in my inventory. Let's see what our armaments look like. We've got precision drones, prototype drones. Maybe I grab another stack of these. These are our ground combat drones we used to fight. How are we doing on storage? Okay. Let's save here in case this goes completely south. But what we're going to do, we're going to go up, and hopefully it won't take me too long to fly there. I keep forgetting I don't have warp capability yet. No, hot zone's pretty close. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to kind of try and stealth here. When we get to the planet, when we get closer, we'll be able to see all of the enemy installations. And I should probably have waited until my energy was topped out before I just jumped into space, but we're going to YOLO it here. Each of these little green things is an enemy base. They have completely taken control here, so I need to be really careful. Let's see if we can find a spot where they haven't really built up. Alright, that might do. I expected... This isn't a volcanic planet. I guess I have it mislabeled. This is a desert planet. So it doesn't really have much elevation and terrain, but we can try. If we drop out some storage... Oh, no, that's not the biggest amount, but what we're doing is essentially clearing land to get soil piles. That's more than the forest and grasslands, I think. Okay. So what we're gonna do here is just drop down storage in different spots as I wait for my energy to refill. And we're basically clearing off the terrain because we need the soil piles soil piles are used for the foundation to fill in things like oceans and whatnot. I'm running low. I guess I could put the larger ones down. They take up more space and have more of them. I just need to be really careful about getting too close to those enemy bases, because if they see me, they're gonna immediately aggro to my position, and it's gonna be rough. If you look at the star map, our mining outpost world doesn't really have much elevation either. Some planets that you go to have hills and a lot of elevated terrain, so when you put down these storage things, it gives you several thousand in the piles all at once. But in our main system, we seem to have a lot of just flat worlds, so that doesn't really help. And here you can see the largest outer ring being populated, so that's good. We'll see how that's working for our energy supply when we get back. Okay. Yeah, it's not bad. We're essentially plowing our way on the planet's surface. We'll do this for a little bit longer and get to around 150 or 200k, and then I'll peace out of the planet before they know I'm here. So I gotta be careful. Kind of see the elevation, the way the grid distorts. That's what I'm keeping an eye out for, and I'll figure out where I'm gonna drop all these big crates down. Since we just put it down in completely flat terrain, we'll get nothing. But like up here, looks like a stretch. Put down a little bit more, and then I'll probably do for now. I can always come back and do this offline. Okay, that got us about 150. Yeah, that's fine for now. Now we just need to leave before they aggro to our position and start shooting us. We'll be back for you. Eventually we're going to have to come here and clean them off of this planet, which is going to be fun. So we'll go back and start setting up additional production sites for processors. And then the fiber, carbon fiber, whatever it's called. Particle broadband, not even close. Unfortunately, everything's close together. Alright, said we're gonna go to the kind of unoccupied areas south. See all this blue here, which is really pretty. The visual effects on the oceans is really nice. But all this is potential real estate we can use to set up our production facilities. But let me go where there's not quite as much water. I don't have to burn all of my soil piles that I just grabbed. Like, we can go over here. Yeah, this will work. So what we're going to do, and let's check our energy output, see if we've cracked 400. Yes, in fact. Adding on the additional ring of railguns, we're now over 500. So we jumped up quite a bit. That's great. That'll be very helpful. Wow, okay. So we're going to go set up logistics here, and we're going to have this one demand the components that we need for processors. So the first thing we need is copper, which should be in pretty abundant supply since we've been pulling it from our mining outpost, I believe. We're pretty tapped out on the starting resources on this planet. I thought we were lower than that. 7 million is decent, but eventually we're going to run out, which is why we need to get our interstellar vessels set up to bring what we need from other planets, because we're going to basically mine out everything that's here. And you can see the ships coming and going from the nearby sites, which is great. We're also going to need circuit boards. These also should be in pretty decent demand. I think we were producing them off-world and shipping them over too. I'm going to keep an eye on that. And then we need silicon. At some point in the near future, probably once we can get out of the system, we're going to need to start looking at proliferation. Something I've mentioned a couple times. Proliferation is a tech that you research and produce that allows you to speed up production. It makes your production facilities more efficient. It increases the yield of different items. It's very handy in making everything just faster. But it's expensive and requires a bit of an investment of resources that I don't really have quite yet. So in the meantime, try and keep things relatively compact here. I'm going to run a line up here, and this is going to be for producing the microcrystalline components. This requires copper and silicon. And we're going to need more Mark IIs. I guess I'm going to do something a little different. We'll see if this works. If it doesn't, I can always scrap it later. We're going to have the output go get stored here for now, because I should have, yep, one more spot left. This will be a bit of a logistics experiment to see if this works better. We want you crafting these. And let's do 9. Let's see if that's enough. We'll have this feed the 2 components we know we need for the crystalline components. Yeah, we'll go groups of 3. Groups of 3, then power. Oh, just shy. I think we have just enough room to put the 9th one right here on the end. Yeah. Okay, so the experiment here, and taking a look at the consumption, I think we're okay. If this was lagging and depleting faster than it was being filled, I'd be a little more worried, but I think this is alright. What I'm going to do is duplicate this setup. So rather than put everything down manually, we'll use our handy dandy copy paste. And drop you. Let's see, can we fit? Yes, we can fit right here. And we need to go get more Mark II assemblers. Which hopefully we have enough. Okay, we need to have this thing start producing more. We need graphene and processors in order for this thing to churn out more of the blue Mark IIs. Alright. And I know graphene is down here in the south too. Eventually I'll automate this. Just have drones fly it back and forth, but for now we'll just grab it this way. It's fine. We're actually pretty good on graphene, which is one of the resources that gets choked early on. There it goes. Okay, so that's good. Keeping an eye on the threat meter. We are pulling aggro, not at a dangerously alarming rate, but we're up to 3%. So we need to keep an eye on that. I'd say when it gets to about 60 or 70, we're going to need to start putting planetary defenses around. So hopefully we have our purple science before then. Because I think defense-wise we're okay, because we could put missile turrets around the planet, and those will drive off the attacking forces. But eventually we're going to need the capability to go into space and actually fight the dark fog directly. And that's what our next priority is going to be once we can research the tech for space combat. So that's probably not going to be something we see today. But I'll probably work on this file a little bit offline, try and get closer so that in the next session, which is probably going to be next week, we'll be ready to go and we won't have to do a lot of the ramp up, but we'll see. So what I'm doing here is I'm mirroring the exact setup as the line above. And maybe we do just nothing but microcrystalline components. And then we do another No, maybe I don't want to do that. Let's see. How's our supply? Supply looks decent. Yeah, that looks all right. So instead, we'll do is we're going to pull some of the microcrystalline components into a production line and then grab the circuit boards, and we're going to actually create the processors. I'll have to throw that into another... We have a couple options here now that I think about it. We could set up another line of the crystalline components and then do a different logistics station. I don't exactly know what's the most efficient route there. We could add another line of these here, because these are what are going to get burned the fastest. I think we're good on circuit boards because we have been producing these for a bit, but these microcrystalline components, these are going to get burned quickly to make the processors. So that's what I want to be focusing on for production. I think what I'll do, let's do this. I want to see exactly how much copper and silicon we're pulling in. Where's the bus? Bus is up here. So let's see. This one... Okay, this one's pretty much full. This one is not pulling in any of those two components. This is grabbing fire ice and hydrogen. And it's supplying coal locally. Okay. There's a couple different ways we can attack production here. I'm going to triple up on the crystalline components because I know from my other save files it's always something I run out of, and it's not the most organized way, but it'll do fine here for like a temporary solution, rather than have this logistics station supplying everything for not only the crystalline components and the processors. I'm going to have this one focus on the components specifically, and we're going to do another one for processors, basically parallel lines. Well, I'll show what I'm talking about here in a sec. Need to be careful since we only have 1, 2, 3 more ports. We could do 4, but I think we'll do 3 for now, and then we'll run some of this to the other one. So we'll go down here. And now we might be having to worry a little bit about the rate at which we're burning stuff. So here we're going to bring silicon, copper, and now we've got 3 lines, 27 in total, that are producing these components, which is what we need. And just like that, I've burned through a lot of my soil piles again. Since we're coming up on time shortly here, I'll probably do some grinding and get more of that off stream. That way you folks don't have to sit and watch me put down storage things and delete them to plow through stuff. There might be some more terrain. Actually, we'll look, since we can look on the map. There's some spots around the map that are forested like this. If we do the same exercise of putting down the storage just to clear the land, we will get soil piles from there. So I might just have to clear cut all the remaining space that's left on this planet. Can't really see because it's dark. But eventually when we go to other worlds, we're going to land on spots that'll allow us to just mass plow everything, and we'll be up to our eyeballs in soil piles, and we'll have to worry about it anymore. Ooh. Look at that. Now we have the array firing on all cylinders, which is good. Except for, I guess, these ones in the back. And it looks like all the receivers are online, so we can actually put more down, I think. Let's do that before I forget. And if we hit the limit there, then we'll know. Oh, we can complete the ring. Okay. If that whole thing is online, then we're probably good. Yeah. Okay. With everything firing like that, we can see it's really filling out the outer ring, and slowly it's filling out the inner ones as well. So we've got a pretty good amount of things populating around in the Dyson Swarm. And our overall power output now... Whoa, that jumped way up. I guess because I added the array receivers. Now we're up to 755. 6 and climbing. Might get close to 8. That's good. This gives us a lot of energy to work with in the meantime. This will kind of illustrate what I'm talking about from the clear cutting perspective. This is what I'll need to do pretty much everywhere else on the planet. And if necessary, I'll just go off-world and sneak around the enemy bases, just like I did earlier, to get more. Alright. So that's good progress. Getting the Dyson Swarm up and running and solving a bit of the energy crisis is a pretty big milestone headed towards the mid-game. Once we get more tech that'll allow us to get further out, we'll be closer to late game, but we're not there yet. We're still kind of in the mid-game of Dyson Sphere. Let me get back to my production site where I was doing all of the processor stuff. Where was it? It was over here. Oh, we still have all the space. Here's where we couldn't see earlier. Yeah, we got a lot of room to expand. Lots of oceans to fill in. Alright, let me just figure out where I'm looking for. Here we go. Nope, that's engines. Where did we go? Did we go north? I don't think we went north. Looks like I had my directions completely reversed. We're directly under something. We weren't inside the belt. Where is my production site for all the processors I was just working on? Yeah, that's embarrassing. I don't normally lose track of where I'm building. It's copper. I want to say it was around here. This is all of the plastics and whatnot that we needed to advance our tech level for some of the early complexity stuff. We'll leave all that. I'm not going to gut the base since we're not really running out of space to build yet. Huh, I might have gone the opposite direction without realizing it. It'd be nice if they add kind of like a waypoint system to the game at some point. Lets you mark different things you can hotkey or jump to. Okay, that's power. These are the turbines. Magnetic rings. Huh. Oh, here we go. Microcrystalline components. Right below red science. It blended right in with the other ones. Okay. So we have all of this stuff here. I think what I will do is start the next extension of this line that I was talking about. And that's not the most efficient way to do this, but what we're going to do is we're going to run the crystalline components down here, and we're going to fill this logistics tower. And likewise, we're going to do that with the processors, so we only have the processors coming in one spot via the drones. So like you funnel this over here, this one funnels this over here. And basically we're going to have both these spots being filled with these two things. So it's functioning kind of like advanced storage, and then all the production and the logistics stuff is going to be done up here. And what we want, which I'll set this up now, and then we'll get ready to wrap up for today's stream. We want one line coming out here, and then another one. This is going to be the actual processors. And we're essentially going to mirror the setup with, we'll go 3 lines and see if we have enough production and stuff coming in to support that. But if we go here, and we want this station to store the processors so we can ship them elsewhere around the planet to wherever we need them. And now we want this one to craft these little... To me, they look like Nutter Butter wafers. But we'll have one line dropping microcrystalline components, the other one processors, or circuit boards rather, and now they're feeding everything we need to craft the processors themselves. So just like we did above, I'm going to go 9. Okay. Make sure we don't waste belts. And so now, these are all producing the processors and dumping them in the station here. And what we're going to do next time is we're going to grab all the stuff here. And we're going to basically route these processors around. And depending on... Let's see. These require... These require carbon nanotubes, crystal silicon, and plastic. We should have an abundance of plastic because we don't need it for a couple things. We were using it for... I don't know. We are still using it for that. Okay. So we're going to have to probably set up a different production site to get the other parts for the broadbands. But what I'll do next time I get in here is I'm going to build out another 2 lines of this, just like we did up here, and then start focusing on getting these produced, because these 2 components, processors and the broadbands, are what goes into Purple Research. And we need to do all of that ASAP as our threat level slowly starts climbing higher. We're at 8.4. Again, not deal with immediately, but it's going up in increments now. And we'll need to have our planetary defenses ready so we don't get our entire operation sacked by the dark fog. In the meantime, with the Dyson Swarm up, now our generation capacities at 987, almost 1 gigawatt. That's a huge jump. And if we look out in space, everything is out here slowly filling, and we're pretty good on power for now. Eventually, we're going to need to jump to the next stage in the late game to get the Dyson Sphere under construction, but that's a ways off. I think we're pretty considerable amount of time away from that, but it is coming soon. So we will save one last time, and we will call that here. Overall, pretty decent progress. Again, getting the Swarm up and running is a big milestone for where we're at in the game now. And then next time, we're going to need to get our research together and get ready for combat. I'd say we're pretty close to being able to take the dark fog out of the system completely, which is when things are going to open up. But we'll need warp technology to get out of the system and a couple other things. But if we can at least lock down all the planets, that'll be a good start. Which means kicking them off of Hot Zone, which doesn't really have a whole lot compelling. It's got titanium, And it's got a pretty decent amount of copper. But other than that, not a ton here. But we'll need to kick them off this planet and then take out the hive to clear the system. And that's what we'll be tackling next time. So let me go and take a look at the homie list and see who's online that we can get ready to raid. Let me pull up the list and then we'll get ready to go to outro. Oh, hey, Mycelia is live. She is currently doing art. So we will go ahead and... Oh, that looks like... Is that live 2D? She might be doing rigging. We will go ahead and raid Mycelia. So let me go ahead and cue that up, and we'll go to outro. So let me mute the BGM. And we got outro. And so once again, thanks to everybody who came and stopped by and hung out while we chipped away at Dyson Sphere program. Shout outs to Wazzy of the Toxicure Empire and crew for the raid. Thanks for coming in and hanging out. We will be back on Sunday this weekend. We'll be doing a Beatbox Jam stream. First one since I've been back. So if you feel like stopping by and learning about beatboxing and hanging out while we create some music, then feel free to stop on by. But in the meantime, hope everyone has a good rest of your evening. Now let's go see what the Mushroom Lady is working on her channel. I'll catch you folks later.